right, we're winding up our growing season to be halfway done. It's July 25th, 2023. We've been growing steady for about 3 months. A lot of the crops I was struggling with are doing phenomenal now, especially peppers. You know, I started our peppers back on Super Bowl Sunday. I think I got them outside a little too early and they struggled with the temperature. But now that the air is warmed up and the season is half over, most of our peppers are thriving. Even some of the plants that were in a tray, dying because we didn't have a bed for them, I set up another bed. I put a bunch in there, and now they're taking off like crazy. So we should be harvesting plenty of peppers this season. We'll have peppers well into next summer, just in our freezer. My wife, and she's been, I guess, for weeks now, she's been harvesting our tomatoes, and I've been harvesting our tomatoes. But aside from what we eat and give away, we're processing them. She cooks them down, runs them through the Foley mill, puts them in bags in the freezer. When the season comes to the end, we'll take what we have and she'll go ahead and cook a couple of pots of sauce and we will put it in jars. But I'll tell you right now, today I'm just going to give you a little bit of a tour of our garden and show you how we're doing halfway through the season. Our air conditioner has broken down. It's a new unit, not even 6 months old, so they'll be out here today to check it out. So I can sit in the house and sweat, or I can come outside and sweat and give you guys another video. A garden tour of halfway through the season. We still have all of August, September, and half of October. So we still have plenty of time left to grow. We've got a lot of things that we're doing now that are gonna, like the pumpkins. We started our pumpkins. We're hoping to have pumpkins for the first time that we can actually eat the pumpkin and eat the seeds. My granddaughter can't wait. But you know, we didn't trust the ones we were buying at the stores. July 25th. All right, so right over here, these little tomato plants right here, these are little red, orange, cherry tomatoes. I don't remember their exact name. We got a couple of them. Greg and Carla from Gracious Farms, they gave us a lot of tomatoes last year. And the ones that I just thought were incredible, we popped the seeds out. So right here, we have a baby one that's not doing too good, right down here. And then we have the two that are doing okay. So I'm hoping this year that we get a bunch out of it. I'm going to probably move these tomatoes. If you look behind me, behind me we have big yellow tomatoes. They're giant, they're yellow, they're delicious, but the plants are looking a little lanky to me. So I perceive we need to move them to a shady spot. We did really good starting them out here, but I'm gonna probably, on Sunday, we're gonna move these tomatoes into the shade. They seem to do a lot better in the shade. The leaves get bigger, the fruit gets bigger. I guess it's just a little bit too much sun for them right now. The peppers, they're thriving. If you look, all of our peppers are thriving, except for the few plants, we just don't have any place to put them. So they're sitting in a tray, just shriveled up, like when we first pulled them out in, I guess, the beginning of the season, out of being inside in our little grow room. They haven't done anything, they're just sitting there. Outside of those, and I'll show them to you right now, I just want to try to speak when the camera's aimed at me so the volume doesn't go up and down, until I get a microphone. So I'm about to show you our datil peppers are off to the left, our big yellow bell peppers are off to the right. We got some plants in the middle that we're going to be putting in the ground because we've decided we need plenty of flowers, bring in the pollinators. And then right in front, we have a whole bunch of peppers, and until they pop, I don't even know what they are because I mixed up the tags. When they got too big in the grow room, we put them in bigger pots. I didn't have enough tags, and I mixed them up. Knucklehead move, but it's okay. Because once they come out and we see the fruit, we'll know what they are. Oh. That would be a volunteer palm tree or two. The palm tree next door dropped a bunch of seeds in that flower bed. So we pulled those seeds because they sprouted. We pulled them and we put them in a pot. We'll see how they do. Might take a long time to grow a palm tree, but it's different. We're excited about that too. And I'm going to show you our yellow bell peppers. That's going to be all of our big yellow bell peppers. Over there was the datel peppers. And then we have some peppers over there. I got peppers everywhere. I got to read the tags. I don't remember which each one is. We got big red, big yellow, big purple. And anyhow, peppers are doing good. Tomatoes, we're going to move them off to the shade. They seem to like the shady spots with partial sun. Full sun seems to slow them down. And let me take you in the backyard, show you what we got back there. For those of you that are unaware, we decided to do a challenge. We're calling it the Coast of Maine Challenge. In our first part right here, we have Coast of Maine dirt. It was given to us by Frank, who was representing his company. They were in the area. He gave us some products to try out. The next pot over, we have Miracle Grow. And then the third pot is our dirt that we had been working on since last year. Now, this thing started out pretty crazy. Coast of Maine was 2 and 3 times the size of the other plants. Now they're catching up. The proof will still be in the fruits that come out. Are the fruits going to be better and bigger in the Coast of Maine dirt? I'm not sure. But it's straight up 3 plants, 3 buckets, 3 different kinds of dirt. They're all getting the same water. So Coast of Maine Challenge is fully underway, and it's July 25th. Now we have corn. Here's our corn. And it seems like the corn is starting to tassel, and it's peaches and cream. Peaches and cream corn is one of my granddaughter's favorites. I'm guessing there's about 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. We got about 40 plants that are doing very well in full sun. Most of the day they get sun. Then in the back, we got about 40 or 50 plants that are doing half as well, but they may come around. I'm not really sure. And down here, let me show you our artichoke plants. Oh, there's a weed right there. The weed's got to go. But the artichokes, well, right off the bat, before I even go in the gate, I swung the gate open and I spied right away. These Romas, there's a bunch of Romas ready to go. I'm going to have to send Miss Karen back here with a bucket because she's cooking tomatoes. She's been cooking them for 2 days. Might as well keep going. Now, there's some rogue tomatoes in this bed. Yeah, this is a Roma tomato bed with some, I don't know what these tomatoes are. They volunteered in this bed. You know, we move our dirt around a lot. You never know what's going to happen. So take a look at these Romas. I mean, these are some big mamba jambies. Big mamba jambas. Plenty growing. Plenty growing. There's so many Roma tomatoes that are green. But the red ones, they're going to have to get picked today. Okay. I waited to pick this one tomato. I specifically wanted to go to Gio's. I specifically wanted to buy a loaf of bread and use this tomato to make a sandwich. They're closed today. They closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. So the tomato decided it was time to fall off the plant. So sometime between last night and today, my tomato I was waiting to make a sandwich with fell off the plant. So I'm going to show you it laying in the bed. But somewhere in the next day, you're going to see that between a couple of pieces of toast with some mayonnaise and some pepper. Because that's how I do now. I love these tomato sandwiches, praise God. Look at that. Here we go. That would be a big Paul Robeson. Greg and Carla came to visit our garden on Sunday. When they came to visit our garden, they were looking at our Paul Robesons, and she says, well, that tomato right there, that's ready to be picked almost. And I looked at it and I said, it ain't ready to be picked. And she said, yes, it is. And apparently, I planted something and I thought it was Paul Robeson, but it wasn't. It was those big yellow tomatoes, I was telling you about on the side of the house. Well, one of those plants got mixed in with my Paul Robesons. Because like I said, we started everything in the house in the grow room. They got too big for those little tiny trays, so I popped them all into some bigger pots. By doing that, I tried to keep them separated, but I mixed a few up. So let me show you what happens when you got some rogue tomatoes or some tomatoes you planted and you mix them up. You don't know until they grow. Now I'm going to be on the lookout for my yellow tomatoes, because these big yellow tomatoes, they are ready to pick. but I was unaware. I was waiting for them to turn red. I thought they were my Paul Robeson. Check these guys out. What do you think of this? How about we pick it right now? Oh, would you look at that? Would you look at it? And while I'm at it, I better go turn that hose off. I turned the hose on, but I didn't realize it was on. Let me go turn that off. I'll be right back. All right, that hose is off, but that brings me around the bend. This is another crop that we started late in the season. These are called Purple Cherokee. I need to get a couple more tomato cages out here because I'm not going to go buy any more cattle panels right now. The cattle panels are great until the tomatoes grow 10 feet in the air. What the heck am I supposed to do? There's going to be tomatoes up there. Hopefully the branches lean over enough for me to get my hands on them. I'm not climbing a ladder. Might have to get my buddy Anthony to do that. There's plenty of tomatoes growing up high. And that right there is some black crim. Or is it? We won't really know till the tomatoes come out. Next year, I got to do something a little different. Maybe I'll put a little tag on each. I don't know. I'm going to do something different next year. If you got any ideas, please give me some comments. Because this year we mixed up our peppers, we mixed up our tomatoes. I don't want to make that mistake, but here we go. Purple Cherokee. And if you look right here, we have cucumbers, we have cantaloupe, and we have squash. And I think I spy some baby watermelons. Anthony, he started a bunch of little watermelon plants in a tray. He just did it on his own. He just loves this garden so much, and he helps me back here on Sundays. So apparently way over there, I see some watermelons, and I know Anthony's growing them. I'm excited for him. He's like a little kid. He's so faithful of a friend. And even though I pay him, I know by the things he does, he cares. I've paid people to work before, and they don't care. His heart is in it. He looks at my property. He looks at our garden as if it was something he needs to take care of from his heart. And that blesses my wife. That blesses me. That blesses our family. But he has his little watermelons. We have our squash. And we have our cantaloupes and our cucumbers. I have never grown a successful cucumber plant yet. It seems ridiculous, right? Everybody's growing cucumbers, not me. I have a brown thumb, not a green thumb. Have to learn these cucumbers. Now look. See this? We went to the feed and seed. I needed to pick up a bag of vermiculite because we have turtle eggs we're hatching in the incubator. And they called for some vermiculite. I only needed about a cup or two, but it comes in a big, giant sack. Anyway, the man looks at my granddaughter. She's out there looking at flowers, and he says, tell her to take a tray. Take a tray. So he allowed us to mix and match. That's where we got the squash and the cucumbers, and we got the cantaloupes from the man at the feed and seed in Simpsonville. But these tomato plants, Purple Cherokee, beefsteak, these are all for free. He gave us a tray of plants that was shriveling up. We planted them in his bed that was sitting here, and they're doing marvelous. Now let me take you on over here. Do you remember when I started these peppers? These were dying in little tiny cups on the side of the house. They literally were dying. I have these extra beds that I wasn't going to use till next year. So we put some dirt, put in a little blood meal for the roots, and look at them now. I think we're going to get some good peppers from over here. I don't know what they are because, like I said, we mixed them up. But when they grow, we'll know exactly what they are. Now, on the side of the house, I showed you those big yellow beefsteaks. Well, they're not doing too good because they're in a lot of sun. But we had a bunch of them extra too. So we put them on this half of this flower bed. These right here, these are all those big yellow, giant, I don't remember the name, so I'm going to call them yellow beefsteaks. Greg and Carla blessed us with them too. They're thriving. We're working on these leaves. We're gonna fill up as many bins as we can. So they have till next year to break down. Over here, We have, oh, let me pull a few weeds. Here's a weed. Here's a weed. Another weed. One thing we don't have a lot of in our raised beds, we don't get a lot of weeds. But this is radishes and corn. My granddaughter, she planted some corn and it didn't do very well. So I figured, let me start some carrots. She planted some carrots, didn't do very well. So I planted some for her over here. She should be pretty excited about that. Oh, guess what I'm seeing for the first time? You know what that is? Cilantro. I plan on making a bunch of salsa. We made salsa 2 years ago and we just used the last jar. We canned a lot of it. But I always wished I had more cilantro. The cilantro we buy at the store, it's like 50% flavor. It's not like growing it your own. So we're growing a whole bed of cilantro for the end of the season, just for salsa. I got 2 crops of tomatoes we started. They're doing well. I will get those tomatoes chopped up and ready. And if they're ready before the cilantro, I'll put them in the freezer. When the cilantro is ready, we will make salsa. We will can it. You know, we got the garlic, we get the onions from the store. We're not growing onions yet, but we will. Okay, here we go. That is dill. We got a whole bunch of baby dill plants. And you know what that is? Purple and green basil. We're getting ready. We're gonna need basil with those tomatoes because you know how we do. Us Italians, we use a lot of garlic, we use a lot of basil. We definitely use a lot of tomatoes. We have a pepper called lilac. I use the word purple, but they're lilac peppers. Lilac is gonna be big purple peppers. Right over here, we have something called the Florida Everglades. Everglades tomatoes. We were watching Hollis and Nancy, and he talked about these Everglade tomatoes, so we bought some seeds. He gets a lot of seeds from Johnny Seeds. We ordered them. This right here, this was in case one of my plants broke. I had a couple of emergency spares. I might have to put them somewhere. But they look like they're thriving today. Those are gonna be Everglade tomatoes, and they'll be ready weeks from now. So we have different stages. We have about 5 or 6 different areas of tomatoes, all at different stages of growth. And I'm thinking of starting some more this week. If I start some more, we will be pulling these tomatoes off the plants at the end of September into October. No doubt in my mind that we'll have tomatoes right until October. Without a hurricane, it'll happen. So right here, what you have right here, our first asparagus bed right here. It's got seeds. I got the seeds in the nets because I don't want those little seed pods to disappear on the floor. But we got them right here. And these are our newest beds right here. We have 3. Those are 3 of our newest asparagus beds. This one right here is our oldest. It's about 7 years old. Behind it, we have one that's 3 years old. And these are all 1 and 2 years old. So right now we're cooking 5 asparagus beds, but we have some baby purple asparagus we planted from the seeds off the purple asparagus plants. Hopefully they'll do well. It looks like I got to go pick some grapes today. Let's take a walk over there. Let's see if I could do this and videotape without tripping. Okay. So it looks like today we have a bunch of grapes. The leaves are taking a little bit. These beetles ain't no joke, are they? Let me just take the camera, turn it around, and show you some grapes. Wow. The seeds will have to come out in a Foley mill or a screen. Wow. That is a sweet, very delicious grape, which then turns a little tart if you chew on the skin too much. This is going to be the best, I guess, harvest of grapes we've ever had. Last year it was a little bit lakey, what's the word I'm using? It was not doing good. Last year's crop was not doing good. So this is something to be proud of. I mean, look at this. And they're a decent little size. I tried to clone some of these grapes we bought at the store. Didn't work too good. But this right here, they're delicious. Big thumbs up for this year's grapes. We're very excited. Next year is going to be even... So right in between two squash beds, we have 4 different kinds of squash, including zucchinis. For some reason, I planted them right next to sweet potatoes. Let me tell you, them sweet potatoes, they're aggressive. I just pulled 2 vines out, and they were taking up a whole lot of the sunlight. They weren't taking up the nutrition because they were just growing right through the bed, coming out the other side. So, rethinking it for next year, sweet potatoes are not going anywhere near our squash. We're going to have a place for squash. We're going to have a place for sweet potatoes. Never the twain shall meet. Yeah, we got them right next to our asparagus. So, I don't think they'll do too much damage, but I'm looking right now. I'm going to make a note. I see some weeds growing in the pot we got potatoes in. So, those weeds got to go. Because Miss Carrot, she does some wonderful things with little baby potatoes. They're small. They're adorable. They're delicious. And she makes this little dill sauce to go with them. Probably not good on my diet, but you know what? It is grown in our backyard, so why not? Let me take you over here and show you the sweet potatoes on the front. I've tried 2 or 3 times to do something on camera. It's almost impossible to do it on camera if you're holding the camera. These are sweet potato vines. These sweet potato vines, they're going down into the ground. So what I've been trying to do is show you how I weave them up. I try to pull them up in the air so they don't cross over the yard and trip us while we're walking. But we got sweet potatoes in this bed. Right here, purple sweet potatoes. First time growing them. Anticipation on that, great anticipation. We're excited. These, regular orange sweet potatoes. Now, we had some sweet potatoes that we were growing our slips on. They're still growing slips. So, far be it from me to take a sweet potato and not take those slips and get them in the garden, because you never know. Maybe we'll get a bunch of small sweet potatoes. We'll have big ones, and we'll have small ones, and we'll have medium ones, and we might get some crazy shaped ones like last year. So these right here, these have only been in here for about 3 weeks. And I got my sweet potatoes on a workstation I'll show you in a few minutes. Guess what? They still growing slips. So I'm going to put them in some 5-gallon buckets of dirt. And we're going to try to grow some sweet potatoes in buckets. Why not? We got the slips, we got the dirt, we got the growing season. Let's see what happens. Let's find out what happens in 5, 6, 7 weeks, 8 weeks, 9 weeks. Let's see what happens. August, September, October. That's 12 weeks. We can grow some sweet potatoes that are small, because they'll probably be just as delicious. Then you look behind me, right here. This was the first sweet potato bed that we planted this year. We were out here putting these in the ground in the dark. If you watch our old videos, yeah, first ones we planted. Look how good they're doing. Phenomenal. We planted 4 apple trees last summer, so this is their first real year. And we only got 3 apples. But that's 3 apples more than we ever had in our own yard. And they're not giant. But I bet you we're going to love every bit of it. Apple trees are going to do good. Every year they'll get better. You got to just plant them. Just start. It'll grow. Just start. So, this would be our bean tunnel. We started this bean tunnel last year. We saw on Appalachian Homestead, Patara and her husband, they had a bean tunnel. I told my wife, babe, I want to have a bean tunnel too. She talked about Missouri Wonder. Boy, did we search online. We finally found Missouri Wonder. Now, I don't know what we're doing wrong or what we're doing right. But we have harvested so many beans in the last 3 weeks. My wife has canned a bunch of them, and we went to eat some the other day, and I'll get back to you on that in a minute. I'm gonna do something different. These beans, if you crack open the pod, you'll have a bag of beans or a bowl of beans just like you would buy at the store, and they'll be hard, and then you gotta cook them. But just eating these beans right off the vine, I don't know if we let them get too big, I'm not really sure, but they were kind of tough, like chewing on bark. The beans on the inside, wonderful. I bet you they could be used for all kinds of dishes. Whether you're making hummus, whether you're, like chickpeas, make bean hummus. Put them in a soup. Put them in chili. But eating them off of the vine, not as good as regular pole beans that we've grown before. So I started some pole beans. These vines right here are gonna have to get pulled out. I'll let them grow a little bit more, then they're gonna get pulled out. And the pole beans we started are going in. So I wanna give them the rest of August and September to give us some regular beans that we like to just put in our salads. But Missouri Wonder, that's a tough bean. That's a delicious bean. But let me see. If you pull them off when they're this big, not helping. It's still a very tough bean to just eat off the vine. So I'm sure I took the last batch and I cracked them all open, and I got a big bowl of beans, just like if you bought a bag of lima beans or any other beans in the store. Got a bowl full of hard beans. But this tunnel is about to get changed over to some regular pole beans. The ones you just pull off and put in your salad, because that's my favorite. This was definitely a learning experience. I'm gonna have to have another bean tunnel. One for these and one for the other ones. Now what you can't see off camera is as I go around the garden, I'm being forced just by the nature of the garden growing. I'm being forced to work. I'm huffing. This one pot, one plant, one patio. I ain't too old, I ain't too sick. And I'm out of shape, but it ain't stopping me. Right behind me, we have Black Beauty. These are Black Beauties, and these are Pink Boar. This is 2 tomatoes we've never grown, and I'm guessing they're gonna start putting tomatoes and flowers in the next week or 2. Maybe in 3 or 4 weeks, we'll be harvesting a bunch off of these plants. Right over here, Miss Karen planted her elephant garlic. I bet you it's doing really good under the dirt. Still huffing. Right over here, our Egyptian walking onions. We just found out from Greg and Carla. You chop them up. You know how people like to make onion dip with sour cream? Yeah, way off of my list of things I should be eating. But every now and then, you get some Ruffles potato chips so you can get a good shovel going on that onion dip. Once a year, at least. Whether it's New Year's or whatever, I get my hands on it. Karen, she tries to hide it from me, but I sniff it out at one of them Super Bowl parties or a New Year's Eve charcuterie board. I'll find that onion dip. Well, now, at least we can make it without the sodium. There you have it, Egyptian walking onion. That would be my black-seeded lettuce. Black-seeded Simpson. Another plant we learned about from Hollis and Nancy. Behind me, we're trying to grow some squash out of flower pots. We'll see how that does. So far, looks like we're going to get some good squash. See what happens if the roots can get enough nutrients and enough water. Behind me, that's our first 50 strawberry plants. Over here, our second 50 plants. But guess what? They volunteered hundreds more strawberry plants are hanging over the edges. So before the end of the year, I'm gonna have to cut them and get them rooted. This way they'll make it through the winter. Next year, as soon as somebody tells me what to do, or I learn about it, or I watch a video, we'll stop the squirrels from eating all our strawberries. They're some little gangsters, these little strawberry-eating squirrels. Now, I don't want to kill them, but I want them to stop eating our strawberries. Gotta happen. That was those little bulbs we pulled off the top of the Egyptian walking onions. Next year, we will have a bumper crop of Egyptian walking onions. And if you look right over here, blue pumpkins. I told you we started some pumpkin seeds. I ordered white pumpkin seeds. They haven't showed up in the mail yet. But we got at least 10 pumpkin plants of these little blue ones. And if you remember, I tried to clone that blue Atlas cedar, and I think the dirt got dry, so the roots didn't grow very well, but they were little nubs. So I got them in pots with a whole bunch of rooting hormone. You're supposed to lightly dust it. I used a half a container. I don't care. I want these things to grow roots, and they might. They're not shriveling up. They're not dying. I'll keep them wet. We'll see what happens over the next few weeks. Now, I told you about those sweet potatoes that are still making slips. I don't know if anybody remembers that that bumblebee-looking potato from last season. Look at these slips. How could I throw that away? That's going in a bot. It's going in a bucket or a pot? A bot. I guess a bucket pot. That's a bot. All right? They're going. Got some more tomato plants. More tomato plants. We have a bunch of yellow lilies. I popped the seeds off. I threw a handful of them down here. So, we're going to have lilies to give away. We got plenty of lilies. We're going to be giving them away. And, of course, last but not least, we have a fullness of tomatoes this year. And we're going to have a fullness of peppers. And we're going to have a fullness of sweet potatoes. We'll have a decent amount of little squash. We may get some cucumbers. I mean, they're thriving. They're thriving. I just don't know what's going to happen because I've never been successful before. But this was a lot of our garden. July 25th, 2023. I really hope you are blessed by this video. I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I've grown enough to know that it's never too late. You're never too sick, you're never too out of shape, but it's never too late to change your life. And if you're out of shape or you're sick or you're old, just get one plant. Get another one. Get your grandkids to help you. Get a friend. When Meals on Wheels comes to your house, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you prop that plant up with this stick? Find somebody. Find somebody. Get your life turned around. I got on a scale today. I'm getting closer. I can't wait to see 397 or 396. 399 don't impress me because the next day it could be 401. But I can't wait to see myself in the threes. I remember the fives. I remember 570. I remember taking a shower was almost impossible. Getting dressed was almost impossible. So I remember $5.70. I remember $4.70. Right now, bouncing it around $4.20, $4.19. I can't wait to see $3.97, $3.95. I don't know when 200 will be here or 250. I don't know when that'll be here. But God, we might be growing some crazy crops by then. One pot, one plant, one patio. You're never too old. You're never too sick. You're never too out of shape. Just start. It'll grow. My first black crim that we harvested this year. My first big yellow orange, I don't know, I gotta ask Greg and Carla what to call them, that we harvested this year. And that's the Paul Robeson I've been waiting to make a sandwich with. And today, looks like we're gonna make it with plain old bread. It's still gonna be fabulous. We'll have to toast it. But today was a good day in the garden. Did you enjoy the tour? I'm gonna go now because I'm late for work. Late for work because I'm messing with the plants. Okay, my Paul Robeson is ready. White bread, including an end. Got no choice. But that Paul Robeson is sliced, thick, Hellmann's, toast. We ready to go. Let's make a sandwich. Okay, so here we go. Oh, look at that. It takes the whole piece of bread. Oh, would you look at that? One tomato. We still got an extra slice over here. But that's all it took. One slice to make a sandwich. What do you think of that for a tomato sandwich? I'm sorry. I'm just so happy.